All right. Hey, welcome to episode 12 of Comic Art Live. As you can see, I've got the gamma radiation going on in the room tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're talking with Dave Wilkins, who is both a comic art collector and a huge Hulk collector, and he runs JGiant, comicart.com. And we're going to be joined as usual by our good friends Glenn Brunswick, Will Gabrielle, and Mike Berkey. So let me bring everybody in and get this thing going. All right. Look at that. So we've got, like, once again, we have three Ohioans here.
Show, Dave. Deal.
Oh, we're all spinning here. What's going on?
All right, good. So, hey, Dave. Again, you're in Columbus, so just like our last guest. So, again, we've got another Ohioan here, which is pretty cool. We outnumber. We've got Glenn's on the West Coast and Will's on the East Coast, and he looks a little frozen at the moment. But
some kind of Ohioans conspiracy going on here 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, I promise. I think our next guest is actually from Michigan, or in Michigan anyway. So we'll see. It should be a little different. But Dave, welcome to the show. And we always started off the same with every new guest, and it's basically telling us your origin story, how you got started collecting original comic art. What was that first piece of art you bought?
Yeah,
all that
hey,
stuff.
Bill, you're a little choppy. If I'm chopping on you, just give me a thumbs down or something. And
Dave's locked up.
Oh, no. Well, we can hear you, Dave.
We can hear you, Dave. Go ahead.
Uh-oh. He's got it. Oh, nope, he's shaking his head. How's your connection, Dave?
Yeah, you're cutting out. You're cutting out. It's got to be. It's on my end, I'm sure. You want me to?
Well, we can hear you. We can hear you fine, Dave.
In?
No, why don't you?
Oh, okay.
We can all hear you fine. So let's just go ahead with the origin story and see how the connection goes. All right. Oh, I don't know.
Oh.
That might be the death knell of Dave's internet connection.
Oh, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I hope Mike has brought some
my origin story isn't as fun as your guys.
Oh, wait.
Maybe he can reconnect.
I can see you guys now. I can't. I'm having trouble with the connection.
Well, we can hear you just fine, Dave. Why don't just start talking and
let me try to reconnect.
You sure?
You're good talking.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, you guys keep chopping on me. I can't tell if you guys can hear me or not. So yeah, I started out like most people in the 70s, barbershop, comics. That's about the only thing to get me to the barbershop. And then, Super Friends, TV show, The Hulk. That's where I got my start and started collecting Hulk and Iron Man mostly in the 70s, and started collecting everything else, action figures, statues. I have a huge statue collection too. It takes up a lot of space, but it's a lot of fun. And then about 2004, I was at Mid-Ohio Con, and I'd always loved art growing up. If you see the picture right above me, that's a picture that I drew of the Batman cover with the gun. And so I'd always been a big fan of the art. When I would read comics, the first thing I would look at is the art. Art was always first, story was second. And so I would draw a lot, drew in school, in art class. And like most people, I wanted to be an artist. Never pursued it, but found myself at a show, Mid-Ohio. A few years they were at Easton, and saw a couple pieces of art. Scotty Young and Greg Titus had a table, and I picked up a couple pieces. I wanted to buy something from Scotty, but he didn't have anything, and he wasn't sketching. So I ended up buying two pieces from Greg, a Hulk and a Captain America. And I didn't really do anything for another couple years after that. I was still doing statues. And then on the statue forum that I was part of, they started an art section, and I started doing cons again, and I bought a sketchbook, and that was really kind of the beginning of the end. All my hobby started moving towards art, diverted my hobby allocation on funds away from statues to art. Mostly sketches, lower end pages in the beginning, a lot of commissions. And then as time went on, I decided I wanted, pages. And that's where I was from about 2006 till just a couple years ago. 2 or 3 years ago, I started thinking about maybe wanting to try to do the rep thing. And then, I did. Started a little over a year ago with Joe and Immortal Hulk. And from there, that's pretty much my origin story. Not real sexy. I don't have any big stories. I didn't see any Silver Age covers, twice ups that I missed out on. But that's about it.
What?
So
Sorry, go ahead, Bill.
I was gonna say, so how did you get hooked up with Joe Bennett?
So I was reaching out looking for some art, and I find the part of the hobby that I like as much as anything else is the relationships you build, meeting people, talking, and we just started talking, and became friends. And I tried to buy some art, and I asked him. I said, "Do you have a rep? Because I don't want to cut your rep out. Can you send me to him?" And he's like, "No, I don't have one." And so we got to talking more, and he asked me if I wanted to help him sell his art, and that was pretty much it. And so I've been doing it ever since. And I've added a few anchors that he works with, and from there, I reached out to you, Bill, and said, "Hey, I need a website," and we talked a couple of times, and what you see is the end result.
Very cool.
Is there I know obviously you're very Hulk centric in your approach here. Is there like a specific period of the Hulk that you like above others, or what was it that first attracted you to the Hulk?
I think a lot of it's nostalgia. And I was a big Iron Man fan when I was younger too. Iron Man and Hulk were pretty much neck and neck. And I think my dad took me to the comic shop in town. He's the only one that I knew of, and so bought back issues. And they didn't have a lot of Hulk, so I bought Iron Man. And about that time, TV show came out, and loved the TV show. Passing a few years later, so I think that's kind of why it stuck with me. I just like the character. I like the fact that he's be alone. I'm kind of an introvert by nature. Misunderstood. Just the visual part of it too. It just really appealed to me. But I'm not just a Hulk fan. Most people that know me casually don't know that. I collect a lot of stuff. I am a big Marvel guy. I do have a lot of I have some other non-artwork DC stuff, but I'm mostly a Marvel, Hulk, Avengers, Cap, those kind of things. The big major guys, but Hulk has always been where I focus my collection. And I have a big statue collection too. And as any hobby, you have to pick a place to draw the line, or if you're too broad, it's really hard to stay focused. And I just decided I'm just going to collect mostly Hulk stuff, and it became a very focused statue collection, and now it's become a very focused art collection, although I have been starting to branch out a little bit lately.
So Dave, you said you had to learn some place to draw the line. So I'm assuming you do not have the life-size Hulk statue, but maybe you could tell us some of the more unusual pieces you do have in your collection.
I don't have a life-size statue, but I had a chance at one. The 2008 movie that came out. Don't know if you guys remember seeing those in the AMC lobbies. A good friend of mine who's a big Hulk fan was chasing one down, and he ended up, because he was chasing them so hard, he ended up with two of the life-size. And this was probably 10 years ago. He offered me one really cheap, and I didn't have any place to put it, and because it's 8-9 feet tall, and it couldn't fit in the space that I used for my hobby in the house. And I didn't have the foresight to store it, so I just said, I'd love to, but I can't. And it ended up as a good story because he ended up selling his extra years later when they started to get really expensive. I think they go for $5,000 or more now. He ended up selling it and bought an engagement ring for his fiance. So I said, I'm not happy I didn't get the statue, but I'm happy now because it helped you, buy an engagement ring.
Oh. So what are some of the more unusual pieces though in your collection? Just curious if you could name a few.
I have a few what they call garage kits, which are produced done by a sculptor. They're not really officially licensed stuff. I've got some of those. I've got a couple one-off pieces that were done. I think I have a piece that was 1 of 3 by Mike Hill. I have a guy that did a piece for me that ended up starting a company called ARH. But yeah, I still have most of them. I sold a few of the statues off a few years ago. Some of them had appreciated quite a bit, and I was able to sell them off and use the money for some other things. But I'm building a house right now, so I'm going to have more space. So I'll probably have the big, Hulk room that's, where I can put everything back out on display. I wish I had some pictures to show you. I would have
getting the Hulk
some, but
getting the Hulk man cave, you got to get the life size.
So, hey, Dave, I did actually get those.
The wheels have been turning, Will. Trust me.
Hey, Dave, I can pull up those images that you had sent me of some of the artwork from your collection if you wanted to talk about a few of the pieces in there.
Sure. Yeah, sure. Yeah, go ahead. All right. This is based off of the Larkin
Uh-oh. You're breaking up a little bit on us, Dave.
Do you know about? Oh, this is Bob Larkin. Okay.
Another Keon.
No, it's Keon.
It's Keon.
Yeah.
I know. Right. I know Dave has had several people do that Bob Larkin Hulk poster image and in their own interpretation.
Okay.
And this is a Dale Keown piece from his collection. And yeah, it looks like Dave is blacked out.
Well, I can tell you because that was my era. I bought the Bob Larkin poster when I was a kid. And I mean, it was just such an in-your-face type of Hulk image. I mean, if the poster was 20 by 30, Hulk's head was 2 feet tall or more.
Yeah, I had that Hulk poster on my wall too.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
It's famous poster, and apparently he's had several commissions redone, kind of reinterpreting Bob Larkin's original painting.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Jade's back.
Yep.
It looks a lot better now.
Yeah, I just asked the artist. What's that?
I said you look a lot better now. Go ahead. Tell us about this one.
Okay. Oh, okay. This was one at Fan Expo in 2017. It's a lot more detail than Dale usually puts into it, but that's because he took it home and he said once he got started, he couldn't finish. So I was very lucky, very blessed and fortunate to get something with so much detail as a con piece. But yeah, it's been a real fun series putting these together. I've got all of my favorite artists in the series, which is really cool. Even Herb Trimpe, before he passed on, was able to do one for me. So.
Yeah, I was wondering if you got to meet Herb Trimpe.
Yeah, I got to meet Herb several times. I have several con pieces by him. Not a whole lot of published, maybe just 3 or 4 published pieces. But a bunch of stuff because he would always bring pre-done to shows.
Yeah.
And they were usually $100 or so. And I would every show I'd grab one. So yeah. Herb was a great guy, super nice. Him and his wife both. Yeah.
Sure was.
Really nice. He would show up at fan get-togethers sometimes, like the old Cherry Blossom gathering that Chuck Costas would host in Chevy Chase, Maryland. Herb came to one of those, and it was maybe
I don't know,
60 or 80 of us that showed up there.
Yeah, I heard about that. I would have loved to have been there.
Yeah, no, it was nice. It was nice.
There's a piece I bought from Albert. I'm a big Ed McGuinness fan, huge Ed McGuinness fan.
Me too.
I bought that from Albert a few years ago. I always loved that cover.
So that's a reinterpretation of McGuinness's reinterpretation of Hulk 1, correct?
Oh, that is McGuinness. His interpretation. I think it was a trade, or I think it was called Transformations. It was a book Marvel put out, and he did the cover for that. Yeah, I love homages of my favorite images, and Hulk 1 is one that's done quite a bit. But yeah, I just like the way he drew the Hulk.
When he did Hulk Volume 2, number 1, it was pretty much like this, if I remember correctly, except it was Red Hulk and the mystery alter ego at the time. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I think the Red Hulk one, I don't think it had the banner, which would have been Ross, and that was probably intentional because they weren't revealing who the character was.
Correct.
But yeah, I'm actually working with Ed right now on a commission piece that I can't wait to get back.
Okay.
Very cool.
Ah.
227.
Yeah. A
7's
lot of people love that issue.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Too many people love that issue. It's funny because myself and a couple of other guys chased this one pretty hard, and I've become friends with both of them. Both of them are good friends, actually.
Okay. I'm friends with at least one of them. Yeah.
Yeah. You think you know Fred? Yeah.
Exactly.
So yeah, but yeah, it's funny because we chase this just as hard, and we all want this issue pages just as bad, but when it comes to it, I'm always like Fred's got more than anybody right now. He's got 3, and I'm always very congratulatory towards him, even if it burns me a little bit that he beat me. But yeah, I mean, the hobby's got to be fun, and I love the friendships I've made in it, and
It's a great attitude, Dave. It is. More people should feel that way.
Paul Pelletier.
Okay.
I'm not hearing you guys. Yeah.
We were just going through that. Paul Pelletier. I think, was this something you had said was a? Go ahead.
Yeah, that's a piece I bought, I think in 13 or 14, maybe. I can't remember exactly, but it was my favorite page in the book, and I ended up getting a couple other pages, and eventually met Paul at the Detroit show, I think in 15. And in talking to him, he still had a lot of the pages, so I bought all the pages he had left, and then I think I had to get 2 more to get the whole book. And I was able to find a friend that had one, and we worked out a deal. And then I found another big Hulk collector that had one, and it took a little bit, but we were able to work out a deal, a trade and cash. And so yeah, I now have that complete issue minus the cover.
Very cool.
Who inked that story? Is it the whole story was in pencil?
Yeah, all my pages are in pencil. I did manage to snag an inked page or 2 here or there, just kind of have it. And I think it was inked by some different people. I don't think it was one inker on the book.
Oh,
I think
okay.
it was a deadline situation. But yeah, I love Paul's pencils. He pencils so detailed. You could publish from his pencils. But yeah, I generally prefer, I mean, if I can have my choice, it's pencil and ink on the same board. But in situations like this, just being pencil doesn't slow me down at all because it looks so good.
I've seen him use a mix when I've seen his stuff at shows, Pelletier. I've seen a mix of some pencils and then some already inked on the same page. So I guess it's who's available in the schedule.
Are Joe Bennett's pages? Those are all pencil, right?
Sorry, guys.
I was just asking if Joe Bennett's pencil.
You cut out, Glenn, a little bit on me, but
So yeah, no, I was asking.
Yeah, Joe's. I think you're asking if you're asking if Joe's are all pencil. Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joe's are all pencil. with the exception of a rare, like a couple instances where there's a deadline and he's got an inker that works close to him that inked a few pages. So there's a very small number of Immortal Hulk pages out there that have pencil and ink on the same board.
Okay.
And actually, 2 of them went on Comic Link a few months ago, and they went for way more than I had sold them for. But yeah, most of them are pencil only. His pencils look really good in person as well. But yeah, those are mostly all. And then the inks are done, printed out from a blue line scan and done on a separate board by
Right.
Roy Jose.
This is a trade, right? Trade paperback cover?
Actually, no, that was an issue. And I think you might have skipped one, Bill.
627.
That was an issue. Yeah, that was the cover. I picked that one up, and that little square there, that's not even, I don't even think that's my picture, but I found it online. That was at a Heroes Con auction. My first Heroes show, I think, was 2012 or 13. And I was so blown away by the show. I got to meet Ed. I got a commission from him. Actually, one of my Bob Larkin pieces. And then I went to the auction and was able to win this piece. So I'm a big Heroes fan. A good friend of mine lives down that way, and it's just between visiting with friends and going to that show, that's a great weekend I look forward to every year. Really hoping that we get to do it next year. Due to all this COVID stuff.
Yeah, COVID or Heroes is definitely one
That
of
might
the
have been
better
done
shows
on
out there.
that might have been done on. Yeah, this may have been done as a trade cover. I'm not sure if it is. I'm not sure if it has. I haven't seen it.
It's a good looking piece.
It is.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, McFarlane.
This is just a McFarlane. Yeah, this is a McFarlane piece, and talking to Bill, I tried to find a couple pieces I had good scans for, handily, because I didn't have a lot of time. And this is a piece that I bought. McFarlane's one of my favorite artists, and as you all know, his stuff is getting harder and harder to get. I think, Glenn, you actually had a McFarlane page a few years ago that I really wanted. I just couldn't make it. I think it was a Hulk embedding right. Page. I really wanted that.
Right, that was
but
great.
I didn't. Yeah, I don't think you had it very long because I was thinking about trying to move this and move up to that. But yeah, I'm just glad to have one now with where his stuff seems to be. I mean, he probably won't catch the Spidey stuff, but it's closing the gap, I think, a little bit.
No, the Hulk stuff is definitely moving up. I mean, when I had that splash, I tried to sell it for a pretty big number because I thought it was just one of the most impressive McFarlane Hulk pieces. But there was a lot of price resistance for that, and I wound up moving it, but not at the number that I thought I was going to get. So I definitely think his stuff has moved up now.
Did you get? Yeah, I mean, were you able to do pretty well on it? Because I remember I was going to reach out to you, but I was, I don't know why I didn't. I think I might have been working on another deal somewhere. But yeah, it was something I really liked.
I mean, I did okay on it, but as I said, I thought it was such a great image. I thought I was going to do a lot better on it. So I would have made a deal with you, but I didn't know.
Yeah, you probably. Yeah, well, yeah, that was on me. I didn't reach out. I think you probably move it a lot quicker and a lot higher now, based on where that market's gone.
I mean, I definitely think times have changed. Like, it just the past few years, things are very different.
Joe Bennett image.
Well, we locked up.
Oh, it's a nice looking piece.
I'm trying to read the. Does it say Batista? Or that's Joe Bennett.
It's Bennett.
Okay, yeah, and I can't read the inker underneath it.
No.
But that's probably a cover of some sort.
Looks like a cover, but I'm wondering if it.
I think it was Sanders on this one.
I think you skipped one, Bill.
Yeah, this was one of the images from that Ohio con that he had picked up.
Oh, commission.
Yeah. Nope, he dropped out.
We dropped him. Yeah.
Okay.
And this is
Yeah.
Somebody said.
Yeah, go ahead.
TC Shen said Defenders cover. I guess that was 2 back when we're
Yeah, that was the last one.
trying to figure out. Yeah,
That looks like that's probably
Surfer and
So why don't we take a moment to take a couple questions since Dave dropped out. So Andrew Allen back at 9:10 asks, let's hear it for Focus Collectors. He'd like to hear from Dave on the challenges of being predictable in the hobby. But since we don't have Dave, but we do have Mike Ramita Man Berkey, who can tell us about being a Focus Collector a little bit.
Yeah.
So take it away, Mike.
Well, I was going to talk to him about how I got into. People don't know that I'm really into Hulk covers, and I always tell the story. It's sort of funny. The first Heritage auction in 2002. Believe it or not, you guys all remember the Spider-Man 69 cover?
Sure.
I always tell people Spider-Man 69 cover by John Romita is what got me into Hulk covers. And everybody says, how is that? Because that cover, the estimate of that cover was supposed to go, I believe, $10,000 to $12,000.
Right.
That cover sold for $40,000. This is back in 2002. It sold for $40,000.
I remember that auction.
Which was unheard of. And I'm looking at that and I'm going like, in my opinion, I always feel Spider-Man and Hulk are Marvel's two greatest superheroes. I've always felt, even in the 70s, you saw the pizzazz. They'd have all the merchandising. It was Spider-Man and Hulk, always in the corners, I always liked the Hulk, even though I collected Spider-Man. I go, I said, there's no way a Spider-Man cover could be $40,000. And at the time, the best Hulk covers were going for $4,000. And I go, I'm just saying, I always liked the covers. I never cared for the stories as much. I hate to say that. But as a kid, I loved the covers. I read the Hulk, too. Spider-Man, Hulk, Avengers, and Iron Man were the 4 books I read. I never read an X-Men comic book in my life, believe it or not. But anyway.
Blasphemy.
Didn't really care for the mutants. I didn't think they were cool enough. Even Wolverine. But anyway.
You just didn't get it, Mikey. You just didn't get it.
I loved Iron Man because he reminded me of Ultraman. I remember it as a kid, and I just liked the Hulk and Avengers. So anyway, back to the art. I'm just saying, like, how a Spider-Man can't be 40,000 and a Hulk be 4. I go, there's no way. Spider-Man, I don't care who drew it, whether it's Trempe versus Ramita. A Spider-Man cover can't be 10 times a Hulk cover. That's insane. I know. I should have brought I have the Hulk Stretch Armstrong in my Spider-Man toy room.
Oh, that's a cool.
I'd have brought it out. It's still in the box too. But and I just said, you know what? I'm collecting Hulk covers. Spider-Mans are going for $40,000, which is insane. I'm going to start collecting Hulk covers. And I just started buying up Hulk covers when they were the best ones were going for $4,000. Then, like usual, as long as I could save up, when they were going for $8,000, I'm paying 10. When they're going for $10,000, I'm paying 12. And so on. Yeah, this here is actually a cover I got from Bashara a couple years ago at the New York Comic Con. I've been trying to get it. He had it for 2 shows. He couldn't sell it, and we finally did a big cash and trade deal. That's one of my earliest covers.
That's because your East Coast buddy did a little poking and prodding on each end to get you two together.
He did nothing at all, Will. It was purely me and Bashara.
Okay.
I'm just teasing. Will helped.
You didn't know about it at the time, is what I'm telling you. It's behind the scenes.
I saw it at 2 New York cons. We couldn't sell it because his price was outrageous, but we weren't.
Oh, here he is.
Oh, there he is. He's back.
Sorry about that. I think it's had a bad connection. I just rebooted.
That's okay. So real quick, not to cut off Mike, because Mike, I definitely want you to finish your story, but just to fill Dave in, if you weren't following, we took a question from Andrew Allen that was asking about not how well we tap dance, but for you to talk about Focus Collector, since you're a fellow Focus Collector. He's a Micronauts collector, and you're a Hulk collector. But we had Ramita Man, who I thought was going to talk about Spider-Man, but instead talked about his passion for Hulk covers, fill in. But maybe you'd like to talk about it a little bit, and then let Mike finish his story afterwards.
Yeah, and I definitely want to see what Hulk covers you showed while I was gone, because I definitely want to see that.
Only one so far.
All right. So what was the question about being a Focus collector, some of the challenges?
Let's hear it for Focus. We'd like to hear from Dave on the challenges of being predictable in the hobby.
Yeah, I I think I was talking to somebody the other day about this. I'm very predictable, and most people know what I'm chasing. And I know a lot of people don't want to put that out there because they're afraid they're going to get, raked over the coals. But I don't care. I'm going to pay what I think is a fair price. If it's a piece I really want, I'll pay a little bit more. But yeah, I think it actually comes with advantages. I have people, hey, I've got this Hulk piece. Are you interested in it? Because they know I'm the Hulk guy, and
Sure.
I think it's helped me to get some pieces. I don't see any disadvantages to it. I know Andrew's even more focused than I am. And I think we've traded a few messages over the years. And I really admire a focus collection. That's just kind of what I prefer. I am starting to branch out more recently. I bought some Batman art this year, and I want to get a Ramita Layton Iron Man page. I'd love to get a Godzilla Shogun Warrior stuff. The stuff that's really nostalgic to me. I'd love to track those down at some point. But up to this point, I've just, when the money comes into it, I'd rather have a Hulk. Yeah, I'm all for the focus collection. I actually love it when I get to go through somebody's focus collection, even if it's not anything that appeals to me. I think it's really cool.
No, cool. Mikey, please finish your thought though on Hulk covers.
Oh, no, that was pretty much it. We were just looking at covers, so
See what? I can pull them back up.
Well, what's funny, if I may, because I don't know if you were getting here, Mike, but so Mike and I had known for years that he was collecting Hulk covers, and most people just thought Ramita Man's is still collecting Spider-Man. Here he was amassing Hulk covers.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much you want to reveal, but one day I asked him at a show. I think we were at a New York Comic-Con actually, and you had bought a sampling of your Hulk covers.
Oh yeah.
I started flipping
That was
through
quite a show you gave us.
and flipping, and I was like, wait a minute, how many do we have here?
All of them.
Yeah, it's funny. A good point. I didn't think about it. Well, I was sort of, I don't know how you could say, collecting them in private, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, I just said
they were cheap. I mean, I think all of us have done, when something's really cheap, it's like, don't let the cat out the bag. Let me keep buying while they're still
correct.
You're overpaying to get them, but they're still relatively.
And I just kept saying, when that Spider-Man cover, 69 cover, great cover, sold for $40,000 in 2002. I just said, okay, you know what? These covers are getting ridiculous. The Hulks, good trippy Hulks, are $4,000. I go, I am going up because I'm not getting offered any Ramita Spider-Man as much as I used to back in the day. And I just said, you know what? I love the Hulk. I'm gonna focus on Hulk covers. So I was just paying market value for every Hulk cover, and every Hulk cover that came up, either at auction or privately from people, I was just buying them.
What year was that, Mike?
2002.
2002. But Mike, that was like really an anomaly because like that particular cover went for $40K, but like after
Correct.
that, a lot of Spider-Man covers were going for much less. I mean, at
Much
the
less.
time, I think they were like
Correct.
like around 20, and they continued at that number for quite a while. It's just that
But when that one sold, I just said to me the barrier. I just kept thinking 10 to 1, 10 to 1. Hulk covers are selling for $4. I go, once it hits 40, I just said, you know what? Spider-Man's going to start going up. I'm going to collect the Hulk because I always liked it, but never really got into the stories. But I loved, I like the stories, but I love the covers.
No, the covers stand out more than the stories.
Absolutely.
But you guys know what kept the Hulk cover market, particularly Trimpy, down for so many years.
Well, it was Mitch.
Yeah, I mean, Mitch released I probably at one time owned 13 or 15 Trimpy Hulk covers because they were $300 to $400.
Yeah.
I mean, he put a couple out every catalog. I'd buy one at least.
Yeah.
I sure wish I was in the hobby at that time.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, up until the mid-90s, Mitch was selling him for $400, and I'd buy him for $400, hold him for a couple months, and sell him for $600. 50% profit. I'm going like, oh, this is good, And Mitch had them all back then. I wish
a lot of them, except the very early, not many before issue 1, early 120s though. Most are later than that. Yeah.
But Trippy's run is a pretty extensive run.
Mike, you traded me a really good one. You traded me the
105. The 105 is one of the best. That's
such a good cover. That's the cover that they used for the Immortal Hulk, the Alex Ross. You know, so I had that cover for a good long time because Mike traded that one to me, and finally I did wind up moving it. But
I know who has it too.
And you wrestled with that one. You called me on a Saturday night. I was out somewhere, and we talked about it for a few minutes. Should I take this offer?
Yeah, I know. Well, you know, as crazy as it sounds, and I know I hate to say this, I love Trippy more than Marie Severin. That was a Marie Severin, and it actually is beautiful. But I'm more of a fan of Trimpy more. And I go, it's Marie. And I go, I like the Trimpies. You know, he started with issue 109, I believe. And Marie drew him all the way up to 108, I believe. And it's still great. But I said, you know, and I love the Trimpies. So I guess I can get rid of the Marie Severin, you know.
The funny thing was, I remember back then that was, and this is no offense to any redheads, but it was the redheaded stepchild of the Hulk covers because it was Severin instead of Trimpy. The funny thing is, looking back on it now, you're like, it's silly. Really one of the best. I mean,
I mean, it's like it's probably the cover that most people remember when it comes.
I mean, they even threw that cover was used on the Essentials too.
Extremely iconic. It's been homaged so many times. Joe actually did. Joe actually did an homage for it as a commission, and Marvel picked it up and made it a cover.
Yeah. So. That cover always reminded me of a Frankenstein look. It always had to me a Frankenstein.
Yeah. That's what really appealed to me about it. When we created it, I was like, it's kind of like part Hulk and part Frankenstein.
Yeah, that's a great one.
That was the inspiration of Hulk. So
yeah, sure was.
I thought it was Jekyll and Hyde.
It was both.
Well, it was both. Yeah,
it was both.
Yep. But the look, the head, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
The rest
right. Yeah, the head definitely Frankenstein for sure. At least the way that Kirby drew him.
Right.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, let's get another question out the way, but please finish your thought.
Sure.
No, I definitely want to see some more Hulk covers too.
Oh yeah, Dave. Go ahead, Bill. You could show whatever, and we could discuss it. Anybody can.
Well, should we? Okay.
I don't know if you remember, we talked several years ago, and you invited me to come up and look at them. We just haven't made it happen.
Well, I'm here, so
I'm in Ohio, so yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I wasn't even sure. You know, I never put the face with you, Dave. But I didn't know you were in Ohio. But I've had a lot of people over, so you're always welcome.
Yeah, I'm down in Columbus. I mean, really close to Paul. Paul and I.
I was just gonna say with Paul what's Paul's buddy's name again? Last week.
JP, I think. I met him. Yeah, I haven't met him.
Oh, you're talking about James. Yeah.
James Phelps.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said James has been over several times. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll make it happen. Oh, that's a great
James
one.
has a way.
But the 112 is a doozy.
I think this is the very first Hulk cover I ever bought as a piece of original art.
Is it? Oh, you used to own this one?
Oh yeah, like 8 years ago or something.
Very cool. Excellent image.
Wow.
That's a great cover. Believe it or not, the original art, a couple of the heads are stats. I don't know why they did it, and yet the originals are moved over. Like the original, like the android between the Hulk's feet is like over Betty, and they statted them and moved a couple of heads around. I don't know why editors just felt, we have to do this. Sort of silly, but it's all original, but some of them have stats covering original art underneath them of different characters.
That's gorgeous.
That are on the cover. But I love that image of the Hulk. Just awesome.
Yeah, these are some early ones. Nice.
Oh, that's a really nice one.
And the glove. Here, the image of this is actually the stat version with extra on the sides. But unbelievably, I did a huge deal with the Donnellys, and I bought the original cover with the whole book from them. I traded them my FF70 cover, which I loved, but in the deal, I got the whole 121 original cover with the original book.
You just showed the blood stains on your jersey, Mike, because you traded quite a cover to get. I mean, I know you got other stuff, but when you told me about that deal, I was like, what?
I had to do it.
Wait, this is a stat version that we're looking at right here.
What we're looking at is a stat. I never made a scan yet because you can tell sort of. If you look, you can see an inch on the left side and an inch on the right side is art.
Yeah.
They needed more, so this is the finished version, but the published version is a little different.
But he picked up the original this past year from the brothers. So.
Right. on their way out to New York Comic Con, we did a trade. So
Right. Yeah. No, I'm just curious what the difference is.
I know I should scan the other one next to it, and we'll put them side by side. But I always loved that cover. This is actually my all-time favorite Trimpy Hulk cover. Well, I should say second favorite, because the other one.
The Glob was your favorite.
Well, the Glob was my favorite character he fought.
Okay.
I always liked the Glob because I just thought he was a muddy Hulk.
Well, this has a very sort of like a cross between Kirby and Trimpy. You know.
You know what? This
Very Kirby-esque.
To me, I always thought of this cover as being like the Hulk version of Spidey 50. You know, with the golem and then like the image of the shadow behind him. I just thought almost in a roundabout way, it was almost like, I know you'd need Bruce Banner on it, but
you just need his lab coat and glasses in the wastepaper basket. That's
so Mike, I have a question for you.
Yeah, sure.
Is Hulk? Are you a big Hulk fan, or I mean, were you just buying them because you felt they were at a good price, or both?
It was actually both.
Okay. Do you have you ever had the ASM 119 and 120 covers, or have you?
The covers, no, but I have a lot of pages to both books.
Really? Okay.
Didn't you have the 120 at one time? I remember. No. Are you sure?
Yeah, I've never had the 120.
Okay.
Or the 119.
119 I've never seen, but I thought I had seen the 120 in the past.
No, I actually have the two loose pencil prelims, the 120. I have the loose prelims that are on those little 8x10s with the little cut Marvel stat for the logo. But I have the loose pencil prelims to those. That's about it. But I have over half of each of the books. So
really? Nice. I'd love to see those.
Yeah. Whenever you stop up next, no problem.
We'll make it happen. Yeah.
Yeah. This one's a funny story. I had the cover and sold it to a prominent collector we all know. And then you remember again, I had I regretted parting with it. And then I had remember the Brave and Bold 34 cover, the first Hawkman? I had that for a while. And believe it or not, I traded the Brave and Bold 34 to get this cover back and cash. So I was glad to get it back with the.
You were about to scare me if you said you traded it straight up, but
yeah, I'd have been.
I was gonna say, how much cash did you put in, Mike?
Well, yeah, right. Yeah.
No, what's funny is this is another couple that you've shown I've owned, but this one I've owned, and I actually sold it to a friend who's a pretty well known collector, but I guess eventually he traded it. But many people regard this as one of the best Hulk covers. I just personally did not love the inking on it, but I mean, character-wise, it's hard to beat.
Yeah, so not many times you get 6 villains on a cover with the character shown frontal, you know.
Yeah.
Do you guys trade art like this? How often do you guys trade stuff? Because it sounds like it kills me to hear you guys trading this stuff back and forth. Yeah. Like I was trading.
Well, again,
Pete Rose baseball card for. Dave Concepcion back in the day, like every day. Sounds like you guys are like just whipping these things out and like moving them.
Well, no, it's less now than it used to be.
Well, Dave, both all the other three guys will agree with me. When these things were worth like a couple of grand each, it was a lot easier to trade. When they're higher up, it's sort of hard to find trade that you like that's equal value. So it's tougher to trade now, I think, than it was back then. Back then, you just flip. Give me this for this. Okay, you know. Yeah, now it's a little harder to do that.
People weren't as concerned about leaving 10% or 15 or even 20% on the table one way or the other because the values were much lower. Now, even if the other party sometimes is making out, it's still not quite enough. So
yeah, I mean, if there's even like a $10,000 difference in the trade, that's very complicated to figure out. Whereas if it was just a couple $100. That's all right. You want the piece. So
yeah,
it just kills me. I've just never experienced trading great looking covers. Like it sounds like you guys were just like passing around,
Not. I mean, maybe it's. I mean, I'm drawing off of 30 years of doing this, and Mike even a little bit longer, and Glenn just a little bit less. I mean, it's a lot of thousands of deals, tens of thousands of deals between us. So, lot of stories there, but no, I mean, if it sounds cavalier or we're just, I mean, no, this is not something that even back in the day I was trading on some daily, or maybe not even weekly basis. But I mean, if you do the accumulation over the years, sure, there's, you know, a number of pieces that have changed hands. It's just that finite number of covers. When Berkey shows, you know, his multiple Hulk covers, I've owned a few of them. I'm sure Glenn has owned some, and there's people out in the audience that have owned some at one time or another. So that's more what you're hearing.
I don't think it really sounds cavalier. It's just kind of awe inspiring to I mean, I get starstruck just looking at some of these covers, and
no, they're fantastic, and you know, you should go visit them, because like I said, when he pulled out what he had back in, you know, that's like almost 15 years ago in New York, I was like, whoa, wait a minute, how many Hulk covers have we been buying here? What's going on?
Right. All right, what we got there?
Uh-oh.
This is a doozy. I like this one. You know, very first appearance of the Wendigo, which is, you know, he's starting to become, you probably know Dave too. I mean, I think he's still pretty prominent in most of the books, does he? He makes appearances, right?
Yeah. Joe brought him back. Joe in the latest Immortal Hulk, in the very early first arc or two, they brought him back. Yeah, he's definitely popular. And he was, you know, Art Adams brought him back, you know, a while back. He's a regular go-to.
So you know what's funny about this cover is this is one that Mitch had towards the tail end of when he was selling Ruby's Hulk covers, and it had gone up. It started around 3 or 3 1/4, and this had gone up to 400, and it actually sat. I mean, Mitch used to mail us catalogs. If you were on his mailing list, he'd mail you a catalog. I forget how often, it's every quarter. And it actually didn't sell, and it made it into the next issue of the catalog, and that's when I bought it. I was like, all right, it's sitting here for $400, and it is Wendigo, but I think the objection was that Hulk's back is to you. I mean, that's how, you know, people were much pickier back then. We didn't know.
As a Hulk fan, that's kind of important to me too. But I mean, you can still see a profile on this one.
I said you look at his left side.
This would be a good one to get.
Because I always said, you think about it, first appearance of a villain, you gotta show a frontal of the first appearance of a, you know.
Well, and also if the market was being flooded with these covers, it wasn't like you didn't have choices. You could buy other ones, or, you know, find somebody that bought one, and, you know, you had a lot of choices. So
it's so like I used to talk to John Romita about that. Like I always used to think of the Sinister Six covers. He's going, like, people always say, John Romita always say, well, the editor says, well, get a nice shot of the villain and get a nice shot of the hero. He goes, what are you going to have them standing next to each other facing the reader? He goes, if you're battling, somebody has to have either a back or a side to you, you know, to have a battle scene. And I go, you know, you don't think about it, but you go, it makes a good point. You know, it's hard to have great images of, unless they're perfect side shots. How are you going to get the hero and the villain great shots of both of them on a cover, you know? So
it's true. Graphic Man in the comments says, thankfully there's some black ink shading in the appropriate space on
right.
That's a cover I like a lot, Mike.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, listen, artistically, the 178 and this cover, to me, artistically, are the two greatest covers Trimpe ever drew. It's brushed. The detail on this, if you see it in hand, I was going to say the same thing you said, Glenn. Detail-wise, this cover, and to me, the 178 are the greatest drawn Trimpe covers I've ever seen. I don't know if we used to brush it's almost like Bill Everett drew it. I mean, it's just like it just compared to some of the other stuff that's blocky, you know.
It kind of looks like Trimpe Severin to me.
It's not. See, I never liked the Severin inking. Severin inked the 162. This is all Trimpe, but it's awesome.
Okay.
I really like the way that he did the black ink around around the creature, and then you've also got you were just talking about how you can see both the villain and the hero. You know,
that image, you get it right. You get
it's really nice. And even the guy running in the foreground is just really works with the whole thing.
Yeah.
Oh, it is. It is a little confusing though, because we have the living dynamo, and we have Blip, and we have Zax, and they're all kind of big lightning-like monsters.
Yeah.
It's a little confusing.
I said that when I first ever saw this cover, it's funny you say that, Glenn. The guy running away always reminded me of the Action 1 cover, with the guy running away from the car with his hand on his head.
Right, I can see
always
that.
made me think of Action 1. This guy running away at the bottom.
Well, you know, they're probably worth about the same.
Yeah.
As long as you have it, right?
Right. Now we get to our Warlock trilogy.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
I mean, those were very close. I always said, to me, story-wise, I don't know if Dave agrees. He read them, but obviously, the Wolverine storyline is it. But after the Wolverine storyline, I always thought the Warlock trilogy is story-wise is the most remembered storyline from that era.
Yeah, these stories
probably the FF battle story in 118.
These stories for me have what I call back issue nostalgia. These were before I was pulling issues off the rack, so some of these stories I didn't read in continuity. Like I'd get one and I couldn't get the one before or after it. So that was definitely a great story. It wasn't until 227 was the first issue I pulled off the spinner rack.
Funny, Dave, believe it or not, 225 was my first issue.
Really? Yeah, I love that arc.
My time. So
yeah,
we're around the same age.
232, and then when it jumps into the Captain America, when they jump over to Cap, that's my first nostalgic point. I love all those books.
Yeah.
Well, you guys are buying them late or something, because I was right around those same issues, and you got me by a couple years.
Your family had money. We grew up poor, Will.
Yeah, okay.
That's a great cover. I like
that.
This is one of my favorites.
Again, it's sort of like the Wendigo. They are bailing, but you still get to see the Hulk, even though it's his back. But so it's still set up just right. But
this one's really set up well with the Hulk. I wouldn't have any problem with this one as far as or anything. Yeah.
Yeah, great hand-to-hand combat. That's awesome.
It looks like it's got some staining on there, so it's probably not really worth very much.
Looks like
the word
balloon.
The word balloon fell off. So, oh well.
Either that or Hulk lost control.
Yeah. And the next, Billy.
Yeah.
And again, artistically, to me, this is the greatest Hulk cover. I don't know what. It's interesting when I look at Trippy's art, and again, he usually did like a blocky look, but I don't know if he used brush or whatever, but I mean the detail on this cover is just unbelievable.
You like a heavy black background, don't you, Mike?
Well, I think everybody does. I think the perspective of depth and everything,
I think I like the. I love this cover, Mike, but I think I like that 166 cover better.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
artistically. I have to agree. I think 166 might be a little better, but I mean, it is hard to argue with a black background.
I hate talking prices, but I'm just going to share one thing. Our buddy Pete Koch came over my house one day. This is back in the early 2000s, and I had just picked this up, and he's going like, "Wow, that's a good cover." I go, I'm almost embarrassed to tell you how much I paid for it, because this was when covers were still going for probably like about $5-6 grand. And I still remember I paid $17,500.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say you had to pay.
I go, Pete, I paid $17,500, and he goes, "This will be very cheap one day." And I go, "You think so?" He goes, "That's gonna be very cheap one day." And he's right. And I go, I know you're gonna laugh at me that I overpaid, but I just had to have this cover.
Pete's
but
a
I love
smart
that cover.
man. I mean, Pete is the prognosticator. So
yeah. But that's for Trippy. To me, that's my favorite cover he drew. Always liked this cover too.
It's a cool one.
Yeah, I have the whole interior book to this as well.
What's great about being a Trippy fan is there's a lot of great covers out there that he did on the Hulk run. I'm a Sal Buscema guy, and I love Sal's art. He's my favorite Hulk artist of all time, and he didn't do a lot of covers, especially on the Hulk.
Right.
By the time he had gotten to the Hulk, he wasn't doing covers. And I actually I have a blog that before I got into the comic art thing, I was kind of doing a blog, and a good buddy of mine was able to set up an interview with Sal on a podcast, and we hosted. It's still out there on the site, and it's a great hour or so of Sal just talking about the Hulk.
No kidding.
And they asked about that, and Sal said that the interiors and the cover were edited very differently. It's like he had a lot more free reign on the interiors, but the covers, he would have to change things, and he's like, I didn't even like doing the covers, and so for that reason, there aren't a lot of Sal covers out there. I was able to get one of my favorite splashes from the run. And to me, that's like having a cover because they just don't exist.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I
like
think there's.
I like this cover a lot. Obviously, with
Yeah,
That's a great one.
This is one of the only covers Gil Kane and John Romita did together.
it's a great one.
And again, artistically, if you look at it up close, the line work is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
Going back to Sal's covers, though, Dave, correct me if I'm wrong. I think there's 2 that he penciled and inked, and there's 1 that he inked, right, over John Byrne.
Yep.
Is that right?
And even the 2 that he did, they're Sal, they're great, but they're not as good as the splashes that he did on the interior.
I agree. Some of his splashes are phenomenal.
I'll have to double check that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I sold you this cover, Mike.
I'm not sure. I know this is one I said it's Buckler Romita, but if you look at it, it looks just like an all Romita cover just because John's so powerful. But again, the detail on it.
I definitely own this one, so I feel like I sold it to you.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Interesting on this cover is I think this is the corner box image that Sal drew that Marvel was using all over the place in marketing. And at one point, I think about 8 issues into the run, Romita changed the head on the Hulk. And so I had Sal reproduce that just this year. I think I have it back here.
Huh.
You can see I had him do it.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
I had him do it twice up. So it's got Sal's head on it because everything, after a certain point had the Romita head on it. And so yeah, took that through Catskills and had Sal redo that for me. It's a favorite piece.
That's very cool.
That's really nice. But you really got to get the Romita head on there.
Maybe digitally.
Yeah, this is a great cover.
Artistically, again in hand, the line work on this is absolutely spectacular in hand.
I did not keep this one because I felt like Hulk was fighting Conan the Barbarian, and it just I don't know, just didn't sit well with me.
Well, that makes it even better. It's a nice crossover.
Maybe, but I'm again going back years. It's just
right.
Well, I just said if the thing stands up, the Hulk's going to fall. The character's going to fall back. Believe it or not, this is interesting. This cover is actually drawn on vellum, and it's almost twice up.
Yeah, I had that cover too. In fact, I had it restored.
Yeah, and it's almost twice up because of the vellum.
Yeah, it was big.
It's very large.
I have yet to see a vellum cover in person.
Really,
I can't get over the mental hurdle. But yeah, I need to see one in person.
Yeah, and there's no mental hurdle though. It looks fine. You ever hear the story, Dave, about John Romita why he used vellum?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we talked about it once on a previous episode, but I always ask John, why did you use vellum? You were the only guy. He goes, Mike, vellum, think about it. Your hand is always working, how you have to work. He says, vellum, the ink dries twice as much and it doesn't bleed. So you get twice as much detail and the ink dries twice as fast. So it doesn't smudge. And he goes, that's why I use vellum. And I go, that makes sense then.
I wouldn't question Mr. Romita, that's for sure.
Yeah, but that's what he said. And I'll tell you what, his vellum covers are a lot of times way more detailed than his covers on Bristol.
They are. Some of his vellum covers are gorgeous.
And in terms of appearance, Dave, they look, once you've gotten rid of the glue that's underneath the vellum and have restore, back it with sort of a lighter paper so that it looks. They look just as good as board covers. Like once they've been treated properly.
And if I'm not mistaken, wasn't the 151 cover on vellum that sold for outrageous money? The Spidey 151. I believe that was on vellum.
No, I don't think
that was on board.
No, that was
vellum on board.
But it's the attitude in the hobby, and we've talked about this in the past. It was very negative against vellum because most restorers wouldn't touch it. And then when a couple were able to, restore it and it looks so good, attitudes change. But like I've said, in the antiquarian book market, vellum's a highly regarded material. It was funny that it was received so poorly in this hobby.
Well, I always said I think it was just because they looked yellower back in the day, so people thought of them less. But I think if it never was yellow at the beginning, I don't think people would have questioned it as so much.
Well, I think there's one other issue that I think concerns collectors, and that is that with the vellum, especially with Romita, there are pencil pieces that exist.
There are not.
There are.
Not.
I mean, the prelims that he did.
Well, he's talking Kane exist. The Kane pencils exist, Mike.
No. I'm talking about
prelims. I guess exist for everything.
Like for example, like the
there's not one in existence in the world that I know.
The Spidey Super Story 6 cover that I had is exactly like the inked version, except
okay, that's a loose prelim, but yeah.
No, it's not loose at all. It's completely finished, Mike. That's
I own them both. That's a prelim to me. But
it's to you. Well, you can call it what you want, but it's completely finised. I mean, I
believe
it's full size and it's completely finished.
Finished piece has pencil on it, so. I don't know. Who knows?
I guess we're talking just Romita here. Okay, I'll stay.
I have a really
Kane Romita.
I have a really funny story about this one. You notice anything interesting about this cover, guys?
Tell us.
Dave, you know?
Save.
Is the face different? It's kind of hard to see on this picture. Is the face different?
Correct. The published cover is a Romita head, just like we talked about. So listen, and I'm giving a little bit of props to our buddy Chuck Costas. So I've had this cover for years. Chuck Costas, their prop stores, has an auction a year or two ago, and they're selling a Hulk merchandising piece, and this piece is oversized as well. And I look at it, and they're selling it. He keeps saying it's towel art. I go, well, no, it's not towel art. It's merchandising art. And I paid pretty high at his auction. I paid like $3,000 for it. Sure enough, I get it in, place it right over this. It matches absolutely perfect, exactly. And I believe that was the piece used for whatever reason. Stanley or whoever the editor was didn't like the Cockrum head, had Romita redraw it, and but it's the whole image too. But everything else looks exactly the same with the Hulk head, and I believe they just kept that image and used it on merchandising because it is used on towels and different toys and things like that.
Once Marvel
a lunchbox too.
Once the Hulk show was on TV and Marvel started to get a lot more merchandising and advertising, and I think Stan wanted John's head, his look on everything. He wanted a house look, and he wanted the Hulk to look the same. And so this one and the corner box image, these aren't the only two. This was very common back then for John to go in and it looked like John Romita's Hulk, at least in the face.
And I want to say, John always says, I never wanted to mess up anybody else's art, but Stan told me what to do, and I did it. And he goes, people always gave me a bad rap on that.
More than once. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's a famous cover, like I said. And that's a great cover. Believe it or not, interestingly enough, Romita actually drew the Hulk on this is actually Romita. And I have the Romita piece, which is on it's a separate board, is the Romita on this. It says Severin Giacoya, but the Hulk is Romita.
Because there is an unpublished version of this out there that's very similar, right?
Oh, believe it or not, I own that as well.
I was going to say that came to market pretty recently.
Yeah, I bought it was in an auction or something, the unpublished one I bought.
Yep.
Is it, I think it's all Marie Severin. I can't even remember.
I was going to guess Ernie Chan, actually.
You know what? It might be. I can't even remember who drew it. I have it somewhere. I should find it, but I believe I have the other one. And I completely
Ernie did some great covers in this period too. Do you have any of those, Mike? Or
yeah, I think one of them is coming up here.
Okay.
I think it might be the next one. I think I gave it. Oh no, that's Buckler Ink by Chan.
Oh, that's nice. I like Chan's inks on that.
That's the first words of the constrictor. A collector, a known collector friend of ours, keeps wanting to. I said he could have had it years ago for a price he said was too high. I go, well, now it's 4 times that price, and he's still debating on it. So, but I always love that cover because that's
a good one. I like that one a lot.
It is.
Yeah. Oh, hey, one of the few covers we talked about where you get frontals of both characters, just the way they set it up. You're right.
Right.
True.
That's sort of cool. I didn't even think about that. How you get great frontal shot of both.
Ride 'em Constrictor.
Right. Hey, there's your Chan cover.
Wow.
Right. That's beautiful.
That's a favorite issue of mine too, right there.
Second Buy Beast. I always thought the Buy Beast was a great character.
Oh, fantastic.
Yep.
I said I'd love to see that 169 cover where he first appears. That's an awesome cover. I've never seen that one surface yet. The first Buy Beast.
I have a couple interiors from that story. A little bit, not that issue, a little bit later.
And this is just an annual early Trimpy.
That's a good one too.
Yeah, that's earlier in his run. You can tell how, if you look, it's interesting how you look at the Hulk there, just how he had a thicker ink outline, because this is, I believe, towards the earlier beginning of Trimpy's run on that. So,
and that's the last one.
Pretty cool of those.
Now,
Oh, happy days.
Those are great, Mike.
Yeah, thanks. So,
Mike, you've been busy.
yeah, I will say the one I could have sent the scan. I actually sold the 113 recently. That's a real good one with the Trimpy, where the Sandman has his arm wrapped like 3 times around the Hulk's neck. Yeah. I just sold that recently to a collector.
Yeah, you always said that was one of the best ones. I remember we debated that. I'm a big fan. My favorite early Hulk cover is 119.
119, yeah, we both own that one.
Which I had to sell. One of the few times I had to sell, I was forced to sell it under unfortunate circumstances, and I'd love to get it back someday.
Yeah, no, great
cover with Maximus the Man. Yeah,
the Maximus.
Hey, Mike, there was a question from Nick for you about the Hulk 155 cover.
Well, that's, I believe, the Avengers cover, right? I think that's the Avengers cover, and I've never seen that one. That's a great one. I think that's the one with the Hulk in the center, and all the Avengers are all around his body.
Yeah, no, I've never.
I believe that's that one. I've never seen that cover.
Mitch never had that in his first offerings. I haven't seen it either.
Yeah, no, I've never seen that one either. But that's awesome. Hey, I was going to show you, Dave. I think I have it in a pile behind me, but I don't want to grab it. I actually have, and it might interest you. Is I didn't realize how many guys love Hulk 227, but I actually have. I got in a deal. I have he recreated with all the word balloons, the whole splash where the Hulk is picking up Bruce Banner. I guess there's a splash in there.
Did you get that? Did you get that recently, or?
Yeah, maybe a year or two ago or something. I got in a deal. I don't know why. It's a recreated.
I think I know where you got that. Yeah, I think I know who the owner was. Yeah.
But I have it here. So.
Yeah.
But he did it to perfection with the word balloons, or I think he even drew the word balloons and everything. So that's a recreation, not the original. So.
Yep. It's a great piece.
By the way, you said Sal Buscema drew 2 covers. Which 2 covers did he draw?
I don't remember the numbers for him.
You said one was a Byrne? There's a Byrne Buscema cover? I didn't know if you knew which exact 2 issues Sal
I can't remember. No, I'm not really good with the issue numbers. I think
277 is one of them.
Yeah.
277? Okay. I was just curious. Because I always wondered why he never did the cover, so you gave the answer before, so that's nice.
I actually have a scan of it.
Oh yeah, the 277. I don't know what that.
Pull it up, Bill.
Oh, that's it.
Oh, sorry, wait, that was me.
Wow, that's on all Sal cover, huh? Oh, Sal Milk.
It's just kind of a silhouette in the background. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But what's cool? I've seen this, and I originally, when I first saw a scan, I thought that Hulk was done with white ink, but he actually drew it like that. So it's a very intricate drawing. Wow. He incorporated the machinery into the ethereal, vision of the Hulk.
No, the detail on that is fantastic.
Yeah.
That's a great piece.
Yeah, it's nice.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Bruce Banner Christ cover.
Yeah.
There you go. Fred Chamberlain says he thinks Sal and Byrne did a Hulk annual cover.
Yeah,
that does sound familiar.
I think it was annual 9, maybe.
So Sal with a pencil and Byrne ink?
No, 14. 14. What am I saying? Annual 14.
That's an interesting combination. So that's what I was wondering, Dave. So do you own a lot of the toys as well? I know you said statues, but do you own a lot of the toys?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, they did a lot of merchandising in the 70s.
All the action figures. Yeah, there'll be a wall in the Hulk room with
Yep. Yeah, I said I had to buy a new house to get my Spider-Man room. Bill knows all about that, so I can attest to hopefully you're gonna have a nice little you have the plans already for your home.
Yeah, the basement's already mapped out and
that's good.
Here we go then, Bill. I got a scan of that one too.
All right, let me pull it up.
Oh, that's the other one?
Yeah, that's the one. That's really nice.
So I had it reversed. It's not Buscema inking Byrne. It's Byrne inking Buscema. Memory.
Okay, so Buscema was the penciler for both then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Do you own those, Bill, or you just had scans of them?
No, these are Will's.
I mean, Will, did you?
Will has scans, yeah.
I have owned both at one time
Oh,
or
okay.
another.
Huh? Wow. Very, very nice looking. Huh.
Let's see what's else on here. Somebody just asked a question for me. I'll just answer it quick. He's asking about whether or not there's a way for people to know what people would be interested in trading from Grant. And we don't really have a for trade type of search on CAF, but there is a want list search on CAF where people can list the things that they are looking for, and you can at least find people who might be willing to buy a piece of art that you have. So, but I have been asked about doing something like that, creating not a platform for people to trade, but the ability for people to put artwork out there that they would be interested in trading, not just doing straight cash deals, since that does come up quite a bit. I just don't know. I mean, how often a seller would be willing to go out and say, these are the 5 pieces I'd be willing to trade versus go and just want to get cash for. So it's never been something that I've pursued.
Even if Bill had the platform, I mean, you still have to have some idea of values, because if you're worried about leaving money on the table, the same is true with trade. And as I believe Glenn or maybe Mike or maybe all of us have said, as prices have gone up, I mean, it's just become more difficult to trade because people are afraid of leaving money on the table, or they have a very inflated opinion of what the piece is worth in trade. So.
Or they don't have enough trade to do the deals.
Well, but I mean, I think we're talking more like, piece for piece, not pile for piece.
Yeah.
I've never.
Go ahead, Dave.
I've never really done a lot of trading, and it's more of just because mostly when I get something, I mean, kind of the opposite of Paul, where once it comes in, it's probably not going out. But as I've been in the hobby now 15 years or so, I'm starting to kind of soften on that, and I've done a few trades, either cash trade or straight up, and it helped me to get a page from a favorite issue, which is the What If Hulk Went Berserk book, which was one of my favorite issues, and I wouldn't have got it without doing a trade. So I'm starting to warm to the idea a little bit.
Trading is fun. I mean, it takes you back to when you, like you said, trading baseball cards. It's much more expensive things, but it is fun. I mean, it's, when you can find some fair trading partners, it's a lot of fun.
I think what some collectors have discussed with me recently about trading, especially with values, and part of the reason why it's harder and collectors are more reluctant, is they feel like if they make a trade and then the piece that they've traded sells for significantly more from a dealer's website or in general in the marketplace, that it almost, like, even if they really love the piece they got, it sours the deal for them.
They really got duped sometimes. Yeah.
And that they can't in a way they can't enjoy the piece that they got or the trade. So I think that's part of the reason why it's difficult and why collectors can be reluctant, because they just don't want to feel burned, so
I think that's the key, Glenn. I think I think that's probably a big barrier to people doing trades.
Right.
It is, but I mean, people have to realize that, I mean, that's happened to everybody. That's not, there have definitely been pieces that I traded. I like the piece I got more, but the piece I traded away is worth more money, or, and that you just have to move on. You can't.
No, you do. You have to let it go. But it is like, but if it's right in your face, it gets harder to, if it's so public, and it becomes like a harder thing.
There's a Kirby FF cover sitting on a website that I once owned, and it went for a lot more money than I released.
Speaking of Kirby,
right? I remember.
Speaking of Kirby and Hulk, what do you guys think that the Journey splash with Hulk and Thor is going to go for on Heritage?
Well, I don't know. Since he has hair on his chest, it's not many people want it. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's, that's one of those pieces where it's a panel page, but it's also kind of a splash, but it's an iconic issue. I mean, I have what I like to call it has swing value. It has a lot of swing value. It could be 60 grand. It could be, you know, six figures easily. I mean, it you know, low six
That's
figures.
where I had it pegged. Well, I figured it'd be a six-figure piece.
Yeah. But I mean, it really has quite a range. So, and by the way, Dave, these aren't mine, but I put these up on display just so you could, I don't know if you'd notice them in the background.
Oh,
I'm actually holding on to them for a friend of mine that I'm going to send them away to him. But
that's originals. Oh my.
Yeah.
oh, I know,
nice.
I know that one very well, the Absorbing Man one. Yeah,
Okay.
I was actually just trading with the previous owner of that.
Okay.
On email today. Yeah.
Yeah, I was playing middleman with no money involved on my end.
It's a great piece.
Nice.
It's a great example of Sal's interiors being every bit as good as a cover. That's just a gorgeous piece.
Yeah, it is.
It just like Spidey. I've always felt splashes were sometimes better than covers, and you get way more art. You know,
They're the better value. They're
For
certainly
sure.
the better value. You get as much art, sometimes more art for, well, back in the day, a third the price. Now, maybe that ratio doesn't really exist much anymore, but that's what it was, the 3-for-1 ratio that we used to put splashes to covers.
Well, I mean, they are a better value, but they're not as well remembered. And
They're not as well remembered. Hey, you ain't got to sell me. I'm covers all day.
I'm a little bit different on that. The covers that I remember the most are the ones that are the truest to the inside story. A lot of the times, the cover was a departure from the inside,
True.
and I didn't like those covers as much. They didn't grab me as much. If I read the story and the cover didn't connect with the inside story, it just didn't hold as much appeal to me. When they were really connected, those were the ones that I really, really liked.
I totally agree, but I would push back that sometimes the better artists were for the covers. You'd open up the interiors, and the interior art was sort of disappointing. So
Right.
I
I've seen
see
it
your
both ways.
point. I agree, but you know, there's the other side of that as well.
There's no hard and fast rule on that. And the covers are the ones that get you to pull them off the rack and look at the inside. So there's no wrong. But I just know that the covers that were very disconnected from the interior, that just always kind of made me look at why is that, you know?
You do feel a little cheated. I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
You want to take? Why don't we take one more question or two? I saw a couple up here. Well, this is a quick, easy one from Grant Cruz. This is about halfway up, Bill. When dealers list art as on hold, does that typically mean someone is making payments on a piece or they just haven't purchased it in full yet? And I would say, Grant, you have kind of answered your own question. That's probably what the not even trying to be funny, but probably what the situation is. I mean, I can't speak for everybody.
Sometimes it, you know, like you put a piece on hold, you haven't gotten payment yet, but yeah, generally speaking, you get.
When I think what he means is when it's on extended hold, and yeah, it's usually somebody's making payments, or maybe there's some little intricacy involved in the deal, some other component, and yeah, it's extended hold.
That's the way I do it until the deal is completely done.
Right.
For me, piece on hold means people are making payments, or you're just waiting for their check to arrive.
When the art arrives or the money hits my hand, that's when the deal. That's when it's marked sold.
Right.
Right. I mean, there's no point in taking it off your site at that point because you want people to know it's still out there. I mean, any day it might switch to being for sale again, right? And you might even get an inquiry here or there that if the buyer doesn't follow through, then then contact me, and so it helps you have at least another opportunity for a lead.
I've been getting those a lot lately. When usually I find like when something sells, I get 2 or 3 people going, if that falls through, please let me know. So
That's
it's nice.
Monday morning sales.
It's nice. It's nice to know that. Yeah, generally speaking, it doesn't work out for them, but it is nice to know that they're there if it falls through.
Yeah.
And there's actually another question from Grant too that just came in. as far as framed pieces, do they make collectors nervous? He says that he's backed off things on Heritage because it was framed. I mean,
Oh, go ahead.
have you
sending
ever
them to the mail can be treacherous. If people don't wrap them properly, the piece can actually get damaged. I recommend people take them out of the frame if they know how to remove them correctly without damaging the art. But if not, tape the glass or put bubble wrap and tape it and try and protect it. But yeah, I've picked up a couple pieces off of eBay that undersold because they were framed and they were in a crappy, dirty frame. And then I got them in and took them out and spit shined them, and they looked much better.
I would certainly add.
Sometimes you don't know though. Sometimes they're like a Xerox. Like you don't know exactly what you're getting if it's in a frame.
Thankfully, that hasn't happened. But I'm sorry, Dave, you were about to say something also.
It would make me at least ask some clarifying questions. Make sure it's not mounted to something. Make sure you know what you're getting. I bought something framed off of Heritage, and it was all good. They sent it in the frame, and I just took it out of the frame.
Yeah.
Wow, Heritage sent in the frame. That's kind of unusual.
Weird, yeah.
Oh, they send me stuff in frames all the time. I tell them, get rid of the frames, get rid of the frames. I don't think they want to bother with it. So they just put it in a box so they can charge you more.
I think it's just their customers in Ohio. I think that's what it is. They send you guys all the frames.
Everybody in Ohio likes frames.
So a little further down, Bill, Jason D'Ambrosio says you guys need to scan your shit and put it on CAF. And I'll just say, I think all of us have some shit on CAF, but the good news is if you're watching this show, sometimes you get to see some stuff that isn't scanned on CAF.
That's very true.
I would agree with him. I need to be better at it myself.
But yeah. I mean, those of us that sort of come from the older school of collecting, I mean, the guys that were, the adults when I was the kid collecting, I mean, they were very cloak and dagger. They were very close to the vest. And that was sort of what was the philosophy. That was what was encouraged almost. And maybe I'm a little guilty of still playing it close to the vest with some things. But I agree. It's nice to share. It's nice to share it with others that appreciate what we love. And sometimes some things got to remain behind the curtain. Some things.
Yeah, but back in the day, right? You usually only showed the stuff that you were offering for trader sale, and collection stuff was just kept in a hiding place. Pre-internet days. I'm saying, But yeah, with CAF now, it's easier to show your stuff. Obviously, not have to worry about it getting stolen or whatnot. So.
But it's good to tune in here because I'm sure this will not be the last art slideshow.
Early on we all discussed. A lot of people said, "Oh, it's nice to show more art." So now we're going to start showing more art. On each episode. I think and it's going pretty well.
That's quite true.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just scrolling through the questions. I think we've pretty much covered most of them.
Hey, Bill, I think there might have been a few pictures I sent you that was early on when I was having connection issues. If you want to, I don't know if you got through them all.
Let me see. I thought I got through most of them. I did some of them when you weren't there, unfortunately.
Okay.
I think the only one I didn't show might have been that one where Bennett had drawn you in the issue. I think that was one of them. Or I skipped over it.
There is a doom and gloom question we didn't answer from Encore that says, do you feel a market correction is coming?
Oh, I didn't see that.
Coming for what?
That's a question posed on certain forums weekly, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think so too.
And I do believe there's certain people that have posted multiple times. And I think recently somebody said, well, maybe it's not coming quite the way that we've been saying. But
right. Well, I don't know. Things are. I mean, I'll answer it this way. Like, I've never seen a market like this. Things have been selling incredibly well.
I agree. I've had some of my best sales in the past month ever.
Yeah. No, I mean, I've looked at what you've sold and Albert and and my sales since March have just been on fire. So
right.
I mean, I anticipate that things will keep going that way, at least for a little while, and then we'll have to see. I mean, there's always a recession, there's always a correction, and that's just the way life is. So,
but there's not going to be a, and I agree. It's been a strong year, and I would go back to 2007, 2008 when the real estate market and the stock markets were in free fall. Art sales were strong. I mean that was eye opening. Whenever there's an economic downturn, it seems like tangible goods, collectibles do pretty well. But yeah, I mean the whole thing is that we're not. Some people I think are hoping there's going to be a chop your legs off kind of correction. But I mean 10 or 15% perhaps at some point. Who knows when, if ever, but not a 50% correction. That's
What's the story with chopping the legs off? That doesn't sound good at all.
Well, no, it doesn't sound too fun, but I'm just saying I think that's sometimes that's my interpretation of some of the doom and gloom. And I mean, nobody has a crystal ball, but we have not seen that happen. And I just think there's too many people that will love their art too much and aren't going to sell it like, as a fire sale. So
right.
I will say that the art market's a lot bigger than I thought it was since I've been helping Joe.
I agree.
I've just been floored at how many collectors are buying multiple stacks. Guys I've never heard of. I never see them online.
People don't realize.
No, I agree with that point.
I thought it would be the usual Joes, the common faces, and those folks are buying stuff. But the big the big guys are. A lot of them are. I never heard of them, never seen them, and so that market's a lot bigger than what you see on your screen.
Absolutely, and there are I don't want to just say celebrities, but there are people in the public profile that don't want to have a high profile that may use an agent or an intermediary to purchase art. I recently found out someone in one of the past administrations in the White House collects, and I won't say who it is, but has some major pieces, and these may be individuals that buy more through auctions than you'll encounter walking around a show, but they certainly do exist.
Is Obama still making those time payments on that Hulk cover you sold him, Will?
I don't think he has to make time payments. Just a couple speeches or another book, and that's
Well, whoever's there now, don't front him any art.
But well, no comment. we see your shirt, Mike. No comment. but I will. It was someone in the recent past administration. Oh. I will say that.
Was it Michelle? Was it Michelle buying the Archie stuff?
It was a male. Okay. And Fred said Gerald Ford administration. He knew it, and you're a little bit off, Fred. You're a little bit off on that one. Little more recent. But yeah, no, Dave, you're completely right. There's so many people. I just look at my own contacts, and then I say there's plenty of people I'm not in contact with. I mean, and there are literally thousands and thousands of original art collectors.
There are.
So it's a stronger market than people realize, I think.
Yeah. Hey, Bill, by chance, were you able to get that scan I sent you?
I've been trying.
Okay. I just thought Dave would get a kick out of seeing it.
Yeah, I don't think I can get it to pull up, unfortunately.
If I knew how to share the screen, I would do it. Dave, are you familiar with the Hulk Omnibus? With Alex Ross' version of Hulk 1?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I have that painting, and I sent it to Bill. I just wanted to share because it's like all your Hulk 1 variations. I thought you'd get a kick out of seeing it. I sent it to Bill in an email. But
oh, yeah, definitely.
Have you had that a long time, Mike?
Yeah, I've had it since 2008. And I said I sent it to the museum in New York, when they had the Hulk exhibit in 2018. And that was displayed, I know, and I sent Bill.
Oh, yeah. You and Frank were there, yeah.
Yeah, it's really, really nice setup. But
Those exhibits ran together. It was like Spider-Man, Hulk, Avengers. I think I went to all three or maybe just two. I was getting confused though.
Well, the Hulk was with the Avengers, so.
Oh, what? Okay.
And then they did Batman after that.
That's right. That I remember. Although I didn't go, but I do remember.
Yeah, think about it. That was 3 years ago, 2017, 2018, then Batman 2019, and of course nothing this year for obvious reasons.
Yeah, sorry, I cannot pull that thing up.
Oh, bummer. I thought everybody got a kick out of seeing it. If I knew how to do the sheer screen thing, I would show it.
So two things, Dave, real quick. You said you drew that famous Batman cover when you were younger, I'm guessing? That's behind you?
Yeah, I think it was like high school or like summer after high school or something. I used to draw all the time, and I just did that. And I think I did a McFarlane as well, and my mom framed them up for me, and they hang in my kids' rooms now. I just kind of that's what I wanted to do, like a lot of people when I had a chance to go to school for art too. My art teacher in high school, and she almost didn't beg me, but she almost pushed me, and I just said, no, I can't do that. I can't make any money doing that.
Yeah, no, I wasn't good enough. And then the other thing on your blog, you mentioned that Hulk is the greatest comic character ever created. And there's somebody here that disagrees with you, so I think you need to defend that.
I actually love Ben as well. I'm a big.
Will. Let's see what you got, baby.
Oh, Ben will take him.
Come on, Will.
Big
We know
Benji.
who wins every single time. Come on.
Yeah, that is funny how both your sites, Will has the Ben Grimm feel, and Dave, you've got the Hulk feel. And it is, I never think about it, but obviously.
Timer.
Think shorts, Bill. Think shorts.
I use my chicken timer for comic link options. My chicken timer.
Nice.
Hey, and just remember, in Marvel 2-in-1 Annual 7, Ben had the most heart. He might not have been the most powerful, but he had the most heart. And that's why he was chosen to be the champion of Earth.
Oh, dude. Marvel 2-in-1 Annual 7, folks. One of the greatest stories in Marvel history.
Great story.
I tell everybody. It rivals The Kid Who Collects Spider-Man. It rivals Spider-Man 33. I think it's one of the greatest stories that very few people know about. I said you can read it on readcomiconline.com too. It's Marvel 2-in-1 Annual 7. It's an awesome story.
I could bang my head. I had one of the best pages in the book, but it was hand colored, and it just bugged me at the time.
I remember that.
And I sold it. And it wouldn't bug me now. So if
I had
anybody
the
out there has
cover,
it,
and I sold it, and I loved it.
me too. I traded you the cover like a freaking idiot. But
that's a great cover. Ron Wilson, great cover.
I tried to get it back recently from the current owner, but he declined.
Great stuff.
Ron Wilson drew a great thing. One of the better artists out there,
Without question. Yep. There's another question from Nick. I didn't see it, Mike, but it's for you again on Hulk cover.
Yeah, I saw that. I didn't know how to respond to him, and I do own that one.
Okay, because that wasn't in the images we.
No.
Okay.
I said I saved. I have like 60 of them, so Bill wanted 15. So, but that's the one where he's battling Tiger Shark, and I have that cover.
That's right. I saw that at your place. That's true.
Yeah.
And I did it. I'm sorry. I didn't ask Mike to give me all 60 scans. I didn't think we'd be able to get through the show. That's another show. That'll be for another show.
I'll get to
That's
60 when I come over there.
Run, isn't it?
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, I'll send it next time because again, I had a Hulk cover that's been in a frame for years, and I go, that's silly, I can't scan it. And it looks, again, it's one of Trippy's best. It's 173 with the Hulk battling the radioactive man on an aircraft carrier.
Isn't it Cobalt Man?
It's phenomenal. Cobalt Man. Did I say Cobalt? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I think is it radioactive? No, I think it's
Cobalt
Cobalt
Man.
Yeah, I said radioactive, didn't I? I meant Cobalt. They both have radioactives.
Know your comics.
Yeah. I keep thinking my radiation background. So, was there a radioactive man? There was, right?
Oh, absolutely.
How could there not be?
He looked like a giant green baby though, because he was
that right? Yeah, Cobalt Man. Cobalt
naked
Man.
except for like the trunks or something for a while.
All right. But
All right, gentlemen.
That looks great too. So.
Oh, I thought we were taking more questions.
Oh, are we taking? Do we have more? I didn't see any new questions.
Well, I guess there are more comments.
I think that's pretty much.
I think we're at the hour and a half here.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
it's Glenn's dinner time, everybody.
Yeah, there you go.
Dinner time on the West
He
Coast.
got his air conditioning this week. He's not sweating gumballs.
Thank goodness.
He was melting on us last week.
It's true.
Hey, Dave, it's been a pleasure having you, and learning
thanks
a
so
little
much,
bit more
Dave.
about the Jade
Great to
Giant
have you here.
that we all love.
Hey, we were
Yeah.
talking. Yeah.
At least second to to somebody.
Yeah, and we were talking with Paul too. I said if we ever had to stop in Columbus to do one of those shows at the university, we'll all hook up.
Glenn,
I actually
you see
did-
where this is headed, man. We're getting pulled to Ohio one way or another.
That way, yeah.
Right.
Ohio is the hotbed. It's
Do they
the
have a-
hotbed.
Is there a direct flight to Ohio from Los Angeles, or do I have to go to New York?
There are before
Gotta
COVID
be.
all the time.
I'm
Right
just
here has them real cheap, but I saw that they don't have them with COVID. They cut a lot of flights.
There's definitely
Yeah, and
flights from Ohio to Vegas. I can tell you that one.
Oh,
Right,
yeah.
that one
I
for
do
sure.
that a lot.
I can drive to Vegas and then get that direct flight.
There you go.
Yeah, but
I
Dave
would
did.
definitely echo what Paul said on the last show, that the Billy Ireland is definitely a must see. It is. They've got some really impressive stuff there. And I just sent Bill an email I got because I'm on their mailing list. They're getting ready to open something up here shortly. So
Right. Yeah. No, I still have to call them this week just to see if what we might be able to try to set up something in the fall or in the winter to try to get in there, and maybe I'm sure we could never do anything live, but if we could just do some, take some photos and maybe do some recording there, that would be pretty cool. And it would give us a reason to get down to Columbus and
Well, we can do like Bertie does, start filming outside the building as he's done at I think Ditko's apartment and Trump Tower and other places.
Yeah, I'm proud.
Yeah.
I got to meet Steve Ditko in 2017, unannounced at his offices with my buddy Marvin and Sean.
Well, we can do something like that. I'll bring the other half of the Delaware Valley contingency with me, aka Hans, and we'll make the Ohio trek at some point.
Yep, that'll be fun.
And then we'll all be in your window, Berkey. We'll all be, on your screen. We'll just have one window here.
One big blown up screenshot.
All right. Hey, Dave, thank you again. It's been a lot of fun. We are not going to have a Comic Art Live next week. We're doing these 2 weeks on, 1 week off. But the week after that, on September 8th, we're going to have George Hagenauer. I wanted to say collector, but he's a lot more than that. He's done a lot of writing, and he sells. He doesn't really, well, I guess kind of reps Dave Dorman in some odd way, but he's going to be on the show on the 8th, and on the 15th, we're going to do a Heritage Auction recap. 22nd will be off, and then on the 29th, we will actually have Scott Dunbier on. So that's going to be fun. So we're pretty much booked all the way through the end of September.
That's going to be awesome.
And lots more to come, but it was great having you, Jade Giant, Dave Wilkins.
Thanks
thanks
Dave.
for having me, and I apologize for my technical difficulties.
All good, Dave. You made a good comeback.
Yeah.
It was a gamma storm, Dave. It was
worked
part of the
out.
entertainment. It was gamma storm.
Yeah.
Dave Smash.
Exactly. All right, guys. Good night. Thanks for
All right,
listening
see ya.
again, everybody.
Good night.